Right now, Stitch Fix is offering our listeners $20 off their first fix at stitchfix.com/Trash Tuesday. That's stitchfix.com/Trash Tuesday for $20 off today. stitchfix.com/Trash Tuesday.
You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show. Go to Nutrafol.com and enter code TRASH to save $10 off your first month's subscription. That's $10 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TRASH. Free shipping on every order. Offer only available to U.S. customers for a limited time.
Order your THC products from Mood today. For 20% off your first order and free gummies, go to HelloMood.com and use promo code Trash Tuesday. That's HelloMood.com, promo code Trash Tuesday for 20% off your order and free gummies.
Hi, you guys. I am so excited that I am back doing stand-up on the road. I cannot wait to see you guys on June 3rd. I'll be in Atlanta, June 4th in Raleigh, July 19th through 22nd. I will be in New York City at Joe's Pub. It's going to be iconic. And then I'll be in DC and Boston. And you can get tickets to all of these dates and more at EstherOnIce.com.
Hi, Sluggies. I miss you. I am here at Anniewood. I have my solo podcast. It's so fun. It's every Thursday. We've got a lot of amazing guests and some really fun solos with me and Todd. So come join the party every Thursday on YouTube at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Come hang. Also, you can see me on the road. I am at the Raleigh Improv in Raleigh, North Carolina, May 12th and 13th. I'll be at Baltimore at Magoobies, June 2nd and 3rd. Salt Lake City, Utah at Wise Guys, June 9th and 10th. San Antonio, Texas. I'll be at the LOL Comedy Club, June 23rd and 24th. And tickets just went on sale for Austin in October. So go to annieletterman.com/shows. A lot more dates are being added. I'm going to be in Philly, San Francisco, San Jose, and I cannot wait to see you. Please enjoy this episode. I miss these girls. I'm so sad I couldn't be there, but I will be back soon enough. See you guys later.
I think there's that angle and the fact that like a lot of women enjoy watching gay porn. The fact that like male sexuality becoming more publicly fluid over the past couple of years. Everyone has some time to themselves during the pandemic to figure it out. Like boys just kissing boys for fun now. That's all like in the zeitgeist and like in the social media landscape. So I think we're headed towards a more fun place for male sexuality, but it is still a hurdle.
I have to say that I definitely have some sort of internalized homophobia where even though the culture is leaning that way, it is still hard for me to be attracted to a man who is also attracted to men. And I don't know if I can articulate it beyond just like an insecurity.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think when you hear me say that?
I think that's not abnormal. So many women express that with male partners. I think part of it might also be the fear that like if he's attracted to men, he can get a blowjob anytime, anywhere. He just got one. He's getting one from me and he's going to get another one. Right. I can't trust this man. He has too many options.
And what would you say to that?
I would say it sucks that part of that is correct. I think that like that trepidation, that hesitation, that fear concerning like being with a guy who has had same-sex attraction or with a guy who is like actively bisexual or like just kind of like, no, only one time. I think that's something that like we as a culture have to discuss more. And that's also like part of whatever your relationship rules are. That gets into also like, what does monogamy mean for people? It also means like, what would you want him to be able to do? Because and this happens with a lot of girls who say, I'm bi, but I'm in a relationship with a guy and we're exclusive. Some people invalidate their bisexuality. Right. They'll go, well, you're not doing anything with girls, so how do you know? I'm like, well, she has a computer. I believe them.
Right, because I'm sure people say that too because you're bi and you're married to a man.
Yes.
So where does that leave you?
I tell them I'm a whore, and then they go, oh, okay, cool. We understand. We got it. No, I'm bi in a gay relationship the same way you can be a dumb person in college. Like you can do you can be in a place where people are like, I'm surprised you're here. And they're like, I'm surprised I'm here too, man. That's what's up. Hell yeah.
And you, Khalyla, are the exact opposite of me, where a man having had a gay experience
It turns me on. Because for me, it translates as someone who is just maybe more sexually liberated, more fun. For me, the bedroom is a place of like playful spirit, and the answer is always yes for me. And I equate that openness to having more fun in the bedroom. So it turns me on. My loins point in that direction of someone being like, I like it all. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go.
But will you ever feel like, oh, I'm missing a penis and I can never offer that?
You know what? So one of my last relationships, I was very insecure about trans girls because he was very attracted to trans girls. And it's what turned me on about him, but I do understand what you're saying, where it's like, oh, and now it's just extra competition.
Yes.
Like I'm just looking around being like, oh fuck, like I know he likes that girl. So I think there's just more people to kind of be insecure about, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was exactly what kind of turned me on about him, where I'm like, oh, like I love that he's just, like for me, I'll fuck an ottoman, like like bring me an inanimate object. And
I think they're called like persons now, right? I don't think we use that terminology anymore, right? We like, right? Iranians, Syrians, the country.
We totally have been going. I haven't even introduced our guest.
Okay.
Who is a very hilarious stand-up comedian who I feel like I discovered you all for myself. I met you. I saw you perform a hilarious set at the Comedy Cellar. I was upstairs I had to like go down the stairs and watch. You were so funny. You were the funniest person I've seen there. Welcome to the show, Jay Jurden.
Hey, what's up?
And you've been on the Tonight Show a bunch.
Twice, yeah.
And you have hilarious sets on there. And so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Esther. I remember whenever you're in the lounge at the Cellar, there is an upstairs. And it's always fun when sometimes you go up there, you plug up your phone, you kind of get ready for your set. And you like just go, wait a second, what's going on downstairs? Something is shaking the room. I don't know this person. So you have this fun little like almost like opera balcony seat.
Yeah.
At this point, you kind of get to become a good version of like Statler and Waldorf from like the Muppets, where you're like, who is this? Oh, they're funny. So
yeah,
that was really cool. I loved meeting you, and I was aware of your stuff. And then when I came upstairs, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was so fun to meet you. So I'm very glad you're here. I'm very glad we can talk about this stuff with you because you're a bisexual man.
Yeah, which it's cool.
Hell
It's
yeah.
cool, you guys. Everyone who's scared to do it, whether you're famous or not, you can be boring. You can be a bus driver and be bi. Did you know that? You don't have to just be an ex-member of One Direction. You can do all things. Like,
well, maybe this is something that we should examine about myself. So I'm very attracted to women. I love the company of women. I like making out with girls. I could, I've had threesomes, all of these things, but the one thing I cannot do is like, I'm just not the biggest fan of eating pussy. And somehow people have said, well, that makes you absolutely not bi if you can't go down on a girl. I'm like, wait, but I can do just about, I enjoy everything else. It's just not my favorite.
a lot of straight guys say exactly what you
I know, right?
That's such a good
That's so
point.
true.
A lot of straight guys say exactly what you say. And I think going down on people of varying genital representation, because that's like the way I like to think about it. Like you're basically dealing with like either like a penis, or you're dealing with a clit and a vaginal opening. But between that, there's so much variance in between, like size, shape, everything there. So like the way I think about going down on people is I'm like, oh, this person specifically needs this in this way. Because like going down on anyone is going to be a surprise. The first time you see anyone naked, you're always like, okay, didn't know. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever think, oh, I just want a girl to go down on me? Do you like it when girls go down on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think it's just maybe like a mind shift for me. Like if I just,
you
I think
might
you're right.
be a super top though. You might just love fucking.
I've never related to that. Is that what I
You
am?
might just like be a super dom top when it comes to like your like sapphic relationships. You might just really love strapping them up.
Esther, you look more excited than
Wait,
me.
do me.
Do you peg the dudes you're with?
I have urges too.
Okay, well, that's what it is.
What?
Yeah, like I do. I've never I don't want to again out any of my exes because there's only a handful of them to choose from.
What?
But yeah, I've definitely soft dabbled,
Okay.
soft launched pegging.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is a
That's what you
soft
like to do.
launch?
you
Yeah,
know.
you can't soft launch a pegging. That I mean, by the nature of the material, it's always hard. Truly not a soft launch.
But yeah, like you're excited for me.
Well, I just think that you like your ability to diagnose her was very beautiful.
Well, it's if you're like, oh, I love fucking girls. I'm not trying to eat pussy. I'm like, oh, you're like a top. You're just like you're like. I don't want to say that, but you're like a dude who's like, no, I'm trying to fuck. I ain't trying to do all that. Like, you can go down on me, and then I'm gonna fuck you, and then maybe I'll take you back or something. But that's like that was the energy I got when you're like, I don't have to eat pussy.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I think
It's
you're
not a bad
absolutely
thing.
right. Yeah.
It's always like sex is like so many different ingredients for so many different people. Sometimes for multiple people, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think depending on what energy I receive from someone, that can vary as well. Because I think that different people bring out different parts of me.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'll get graphic, I don't care. If you're like making out with a girl and like it's mutual masturbation and you're both using toys on each other, then like if you didn't go down, but everyone came, like what happened at that point? No one's gonna be like, well, the sex was great, but next time you have to go down with me for like this amount of time for this to actually count as a lesbian experience. No.
right, because we were just talking about this yesterday on Guys We Fuck, and I love being a cock, or I think I'm a cock.
Okay.
But even the porn that I watch, if it's like a cuck situation, I'm only looking at the girl who's looking and assisting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I really like sort of being like the, how do I say, I guess kind of with big like top energy. Like I like being the orchestrator, but more of like the voyeur and the assistant, like watching the pleasure happen rather than, you know what I mean, giving the pleasure almost. Like,
But that's also hot. I feel like
you.
the stuff you're describing is just good. No one, I guarantee.
I am pretty
If
fun.
there was like a room full of people here and you're like, sometimes I just like to watch him get fucked and like tell her what to do to him. No guy in that crowd is gonna be like, stop, no, I need you in there. They're gonna be like, keep going, please.
Wait, your attitude about all this is so refreshing because I feel like Khalyla is sharing these like things that are kinks sort of, and I feel like the nature here is to be like, well, this means this about you and you're weird and whatever, but you're just like, oh, that sounds like fun, and that why wouldn't you like
Yeah.
that?
When you're a bi guy, a lot of your responses to things is like, that sounds pretty cool. Let's try that out. What? Okay. Wow. Oh, that's new. Interesting. What data did I collect from this? Okay. That's usually mine.
Did you expect or know that you would end up with like marrying a man?
No, I didn't know what my marriage journey was going to be because, like, I was in a theater program. I messed around with girls up until like my junior year of college, and then I messed around with guys and girls, and then I had like a secret boyfriend, and then I like hated that because he was like in a frat and not out and like emotionally abusive. I hate to be redundant, but I said he was in a frat already, and there was just like a lot of drama. But I had like all this extra drama with like a secret gay relationship, and I was like, man, no, that's not where I'm headed. So then I was like, oh, I should probably date a girl again. But then I never like seriously dated a girl. I had like a girl who was very interested in us like trying to make it work. And then I met my now husband and I was like, holy shit. And so I rebuffed his like relationship advances for a little bit. I was cool like making out and like kind of kicking it, but I was always like, I don't need a relationship. I'm like about to leave. Like, I don't need a relationship. And then like I was like, holy shit. Oh, relationships can be like, wait a minute, good? They can be mutually beneficial? You can care about these people? Who's been hiding this secret from me?
Wait, I relate to that so much.
Right?
Like all the like quote unquote relationships in my early 20s compared to the one I'm in now, it's like a joke.
Yeah.
It's exactly that discovery where you're like, oh, someone can like me and want to talk to me. It's amazing.
So then we ended up kind of being long distance and like, but also being like visiting each other a lot when I was in grad school and he was finishing school. And then we moved to New York, we moved in together, and then we kept getting like semi-engaged. It was like, oh, this is like a ring that means like we should keep going. This is like a ring that means like, you know, one day maybe there'll be another ring. And then finally we were like actually engaged. And then we started like setting the date. And then we didn't get married until last July, but we've been planning it for a little bit. But then we started to really plan it the year before. But I didn't know I was going to end up married.
I see.
I come from like, I'm a child of divorce, and like my mom's a great woman, but she never remarried. My dad never remarried. Marriage, I hadn't been to that many weddings. I think I'd only been to, when I moved to New York, I had never gone to a wedding. I went to one wedding for like this Russian oligarch. I remember I went with a friend from grad school, and it was wild. I had like rent a tux, and I was like, this is like evil money, right? And I definitely was like the only Black person there. And so then in my head, I was like, I don't know a lot about weddings and marriages. So I wasn't ever like seeking out a life partner. I happened to be lucky enough to find one and have one find me, a person who like I want to make it work with.
Well, side note, I feel like that's always the secret to finding one is not looking.
Yeah, but the culture tells everyone.
Yeah.
And like if you're from like if you're from one of those couples where their parents are childhood sweethearts and they're telling you you better be married by your 30 because they want grandkids, and like even if they're not telling you, they're like winking about it all the time and like constantly nudging you. You have this impetus to be like, I guess I'll just let this dude come at me so we can get pregnant and get married and give these fucking kids to my mom and dad so then I can hate these kids and hate this man and then cheat on him, and people get mad and it's like, wow, I've never met a man who's from Venezuela. Of course I'm going to cheat. Like that. Like that's what we do to so many of these young girls in this country. So of course,
You know, I did not receive any pressure from my mom. My dad died in my teens, but I didn't receive any, and even to this day, she still doesn't care
that's
if I
a
ever
good
get
mom.
But I still let dudes come inside me.
Oh, well, that's because once again we've established you're fine.
Just I'm a whore. I'm a whore. Biologically, I feel like it's the correct thing to do, and then take care of it later.
Right.
Get that Julie
Yeah. Julie pill.
back pocket.
Everyone, it's so weird that some people are like, oh, well, that's a breeding kink, because people be like, oh, you have a breeding kink. And I'm
Is that what I have then?
No. I don't think you do. I just think you like sex, original recipe. You just like sex the way that people have sex. Pulling out and coming anywhere else is an extra step that requires the timing of a gymnast. I want everyone to know. There have been times when someone's like, I need you to come on my face. I was like, you should have said that minutes ago. We are in we're in a space where that means you have to turn around. I have to also reestablish, you know what I mean? Coming inside of people is the Christian way. That's what I should say.
Oh, that's
yeah.
yeah.
If you're actually following the Bible, it is better that your seed fall in the belly of a whore than on the ground.
Thank you.
You infidels, you heathens.
It's true. I mean, and I was raised Catholic too.
Mhm.
So it only makes sense that if he tries to pull out, that I just clamp him down.
Yeah. You should say, what do you think the Pope would have to say about this?
Exactly. Yeah, spring is here, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, look at me. I need a brand new wardrobe.
Amy.
I need you to have one.
Yeah.
I don't know whose wardrobe you robbed, but it was a man.
You look like you're dressing up as a swamp. Like,
Listen, I'm glad Stitch Fix is our sponsor because I'm going to be needing them so much these next couple.
Yes, I had a experience where I had to take all these mushrooms for my cluster headaches, and I was like looking at all of the boxes of things that I buy and all of these clothes that I have, and I was like, it's too many clothes. I need a situation where I can just get clothes, see if I like them, and turn them back. I have so many things that are
Yeah.
too hard to return.
Yeah, you need it to be more curated. Like Stitch Fix actually makes you feel like you have a partner that's helping you curate clothes, and especially for like spring and summer, like we need to freshen up.
And what I love about Stitch Fix is you take this simple questionnaire and then you're matched with a stylist and clothes get sent to your door. You keep the ones you like and you return the ones you don't. Simple as that.
They give you all the stuff to return it. It's so easy.
They also like want to know what's your price range, what's your style. Like they ask you the right questions to kind of get to know you. And they have over 1,000 brands and styles, which is very good. There's variety, good selection. And you get to try your pieces at home before you buy them. So you just keep what you love, you send back the rest. Plus it's the shipping, returns, and exchanges are all free.
And they have a wide range of, sizes. They have extra small for Esther, 3XL for me and Khalyla.
And there's no subscription required. Simply order a refresh as needed or set it and forget it with regular seasonal fixes. You're in complete control.
And right now, Stitch Fix is offering our listeners $20 off their first fix at stitchfix.com/Trash Tuesday. That's stitchfix.com/Trash Tuesday for $20 off today. stitchfix.com/Trash Tuesday.
You guys, 30 million women are impacted by weakened or thinning hair. We're not alone.
Well, that's what happened.
Weekend hair.
Weekend hair?
Oh, she's crazy weekend hair.
That's what happened to me when I turned 30. When I got off my birth control, I could not stop the shedding. I was just losing hair, and I would, you stick your hair in the shower. My whole wall was just hair loss.
But there is a solution, and you can trust it to deliver actual results. Okay, Nutrafol is a simple addition to your daily routine, and what I love about it is it's actually all stuff that's good for you. It's not a gimmick, and you use it and you actually get results if you stay consistent.
But that's exactly what makes me believe in the product. It's not an overnight fix. I've used it for years. It wasn't until maybe my third or fourth month that I started to really see results, and that's how I like it. I don't want something that promises an overnight fix.
Because then you're like, ooh, is this going to fall out of my head very soon? Yeah, no, it's so good.
It's the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. And Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning, which are stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through whole body health.
Nutrafol has 3 unique formulas to support women throughout all stages of life, including postpartum and menopause. Each formula is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients in consistently effective dosages so you get the most reliable results.
3,000 plus top doctors and stylists recommend Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair, and I also recommend it.
And in a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months.
Yeah, I use Nutrafol every day. I love it. It's so
Yeah, I'm excited to take it. It's like my nice little thing. It's a nice thing I do for myself.
I love that we're sponsored by them. I'm honored. I love it. I give it to my sister-in-law. I give it to everyone.
So good. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering promo code TRASH to save $10 off your first month subscription. This offer is only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $10 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TRASH.
Now, my dad's side of the family was Catholic. That's one of my favorite. I told it's the silliest and stupidest joke, but it's one of my favorite jokes. I did it on my first time on the Tonight Show. I was like, my dad's side of the family is Catholic. That's right, Black Catholics do exist. We say Hail Mary, J. Blige. It's such a funny, silly joke. The Roots loved that joke.
So good.
With you being raised Catholic, but you also being like a sexually liberated person, what remnants of Catholic guilt do you have?
Oh, all of it. And especially because I didn't grow up in America. So I grew up in the Philippines.
Uh-huh.
And it's
ooh, okay, yes.
like very deeply. Also, they, growing up, now they have certain, things in place that actually help women and family planning. But growing up, birth control pills were illegal.
Yeah.
Abortion illegal. Everything illegal.
That's what colonialism does. Colonialism literally, Spaniards go to the Philippines and go, First of all, put some clothes on. Secondly, you worship this God now. And if you don't, you're going to hell. What's hell? I'm glad you asked. Like,
Right. No, exactly that. So, I think the guilt that I carry is on a different level than I imagine, like growing up in America and being like Catholic here. It's
No.
or maybe not. Or
Here in the Northeast, like Catholic schools, basically, like, I know people who are still kind of like allowing themselves to enjoy things because of their upbringing in the Catholic Church, because it kind of consumes a lot of people's existence. It's not just Mass on Sunday. It's school Monday through Friday. It's a religion class and or like a chapel section of your curriculum every day, those 5 days. You get a Saturday off. If you play church league basketball, you're going back to do more churchy shit. Then you go to Mass on Sunday. And the whole time you're told, listen, not only is this the right way, this is the right and only Christian way. Like, this is the one true faith. If you don't do these things, you will go to hell. Hell is not metaphorical. It is real. You will go there. And so there's this like...
That is like a holy shit. I can't believe every time I hear it.
And Esther, guess what? Like, you're not telling teenagers this. You're telling 8-year-olds this. You tell 8-year-olds that. Of course an 8-year-old's going to be like, oh my God, what?
And
I'm going to hell? Yes, you're going to hell. How can I stop this from happening?
And then imagine me being an 8-year-old having been molested by a family member as being my first like sexual experience, and then having the guilt of looking at that family member and feeling like I had a crush on this adult because it warped my brain. But then you have the Catholic shame, and then there I was in my teens just trying to suck every dick I could find, feeling terrible about myself, and then not being able to masturbate because I felt shame, and to this day still crying after sex. Like, I burst into tears when I come. That's Catholic guilt, I think. All of those things, like, you can release and you can intellectualize your upbringing and say, okay, this happened because of this, and I'm no longer a part of this institution, but it lives in you in ways that maybe sometimes you can't even make sense of, because it just seems so absurd to be like, why do I have a crush on the person who assaulted me? Or why am I bursting into tears after, having this glorious threesome? Like, it's so fucking weird how it just stays in you.
It stays in the body, 100%.
Wait, so what is your then remnants of, do you have Catholic guilt that stays with you?
So I was raised like Southern Baptist. So the thing that still kind of happens to me is that I didn't get a bunch of like hellfire and brimstone preached at me a lot, but there is this tendency to still try to be like, oh, I am a good Southern Christian boy, even though I'm doing like all this stupid gay stuff. I'm a comedian. I live in like New York City, but like part of my identity is still being like a good mama's boy. I was able to like have a fairly positive relationship with my upbringing in the church, because for me, it was a little bit less about like punishment and way more about community. So like my grandmother was a big part of our church. Like the church rec center is like where I like played basketball and made some of my first friends. Like church was always like seen as like the place where you could like go get something to eat. There was never like a big fear of like punishment for me from church. So the way that I kind of like deal with any of my shit, it's like all like internalized homophobia that I still like kind of work around, and not internalized homophobia in the sense I'm going to hell, just like, oh, people won't like you if you're like your authentic self. Oh, like make sure you're like not too gay. Like don't be too gay. Your homeboys will know. Like it's the feeling of when you're in elementary school or when you're in middle school and you meet a new boy, and instead of being able to ever say that boy's cute, what you say as a little bi boy is, that guy's so cool. You guys know how cool that guy is? He's new. He's got interesting stories. Oh my God, look at his shoes. He's so cool. We should hang out with the new guy. And everyone's like, why do you care about this new dude so much, Jay? We're your friends. Who's this piece of shit? I'm like, we should be nice to him though. You just find ways around it. I remember like looking at my two best friends in high school. They were like, they were twins, and both of them were cute. And what's so funny is that, like, I never had, like, a crush on them, but they definitely informed the way that I flirted with boys eventually when I would. So I'd be too bro-y sometimes. I had to, like, relearn that I was like, oh, I can actually, like, approach this in a way that is intentionally romantic. I don't always have to be like, yeah, dude. Because that's, like, fake. That's fake. It's me going, yeah, dude, is being like, oh, don't make this gay. Don't make this gay sex. We're about to have 2 gay dogs.
You're holding back
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So I had to like escape from that. It's also, I was fortunate enough that I was always able to be out on stage. So I moved to New York in 2015. So when you look at like 2015 comedy scene in New York, is a bunch of open mics. And so like, I was never not going to be out on stage, only because sometimes when you see a comic and there's one thing that they're like dancing around, or there are a bunch of neutral pronouns used when talking about dating stories, you're like, okay, I peep it, I see it, dog, you want to talk about it? Okay, that's fine, you don't have to.
What about comics who just straight up like hate women on stage?
Oh, well, here's the sad part about that. I think that misogyny is such an easy hack. I say this not hack in the way that comics use it as a kind of like insult. I'm saying it's a hack to get into like a lot of the American psyche, because culturally so many people hate women. If you go, oh man, she's being a bitch, a crowd of men and women will be like, he's right, she is being a bitch.
So like low-hanging fruit.
She's low-hanging fruit, lowest common denominator. It's an easy way to kind of have like a plurality of laughs, where I would argue that like hating men is also fun on stage, but so many people go, oh, she's just hating men.
Yeah.
She's just hating men. And then a comic on stage, to much of her credit, will be like, yeah, because y'all be raping people. And then people in the audience will be like, she got a point. You know, I forgot about the rapes. You should have led with the rapes. And it's like it's also like, I think that the reason people still use misogyny, if we look at comedy in like a big picture, is that like, if we look at domestic comedy, like way back, like ancient Greek domestic comedy, and it trickles down all the way to like the Honeymooners and the Flintstones. What people thought was funny was this man, this large man, this brunette man, this overweight man, this hairy man, this ugly man has a tiny wife, and she is mean to him. But because they're married, it's funny because the power dynamic has been shifted. Physically and visually, we have contrasting figures. We also have different voices. He's low, she's high. He's normal, she's annoying. We have all of these things that are baked into Western theater and baked into like the Western idea of comedy. So we're playing on very old tropes. And the people who are able to like up in those tropes are seen as like groundbreaking, but also the people who like continue those tropes, they may not be able to articulate what they're doing, but they know what they're doing.
Right.
Whenever someone is like, oh, my wife is like getting on to me about this thing, the crowd goes, oh, I know where I've seen this before. I'm allowed to laugh at this. And the people who can like flip that on his head, a person who flipped that on their head and it sucks, like now they're also very crazy. But Roseanne was able to go, no, I'm being annoying on purpose and I'm gonna be mean. And you're like, holy shit, okay, you're flipping on his head a little bit. It's cool to look at it from a theatrical standpoint, because then you can be like, oh, that's where this is coming from a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because when we see the man complain about his wife, it is familiar. We're allowed to laugh, but then you could also argue that now we've seen it so much. It is boring. It's hacky. It is stupid. It's like offensive.
Yeah, and you want to see what the next step is. You want this man to be aware that he's becoming the man that people are making fun of, and him to reflect and go, oh, what does this say about me that I've become this version of this guy? Now, because you know what the groundbreaking thing was like 2 years ago? For a guy to be like, hey, I think my wife's awesome. People like, what? What? Yeah, I kind of like this lady. Lady? Oh my God. You know her name? I do know her name. Whoa, what? Wait a minute. Next thing you gonna tell me you take care of the kids. Sometimes I do. Give this man a medal. He deserves an award. You know their names? I know all their names. Hey, Donut.
Donut. Who's at the door?
Donut. Donut. We don't bark in public. It's embarrassing. Don't let people know you're a dog.
One of my favorite bits of yours is when you talk about women just dating ugly dudes. Because I feel like you were speaking directly to me.
I also want to add a caveat. The reason I make that joke is because women and a lot of people are so willing to look past conventional attractiveness to find like what they find is actually sexy about a guy. So they're able to say, oh, this is sexy about him. It's not hot, but this is sexy about him. Oh, I don't want to post this man, but he definitely like fucked my brain loose. Like I need you to know, you know what I mean? There's also this idea that it never in my wildest dreams would I ever come up with the idea that a woman is even capable of being ugly on stage in front of cameras. So of course, if you want to take anyone down a peg, you shoot for men. Because if you call a man ugly, his response is going to be like, I still be fucking though. And you're like, great. If you call a girl ugly, people are going to be like, what do you mean by that? What's ugly about this girl? So I think that like, I wanted to really figure out the ins and outs of that joke. There's also like, that joke came from, first of all, there's this picture, I want to say, of Jennifer Connelly with the puppet from Labyrinth, like the really the troll one. And I tweeted like years ago, I was like, straight couples, and they liked it. And find the tweet if you can. And I was like, oh, okay, let me see if I can build this. And I was like working on it. And then there was this idea that like all these articles came out over the past 2 years are like, that be in these magazines or be on these online like publications that will be like, ladies, you know what's in? Huge eyebrows and ugly men. And I'd be like, don't tell these girls they have to date ugly men. Just tell them they can date who they want. That's different. And so I was like, oh, okay, let me come up with something. And I wrote the bit. And then the funniest part of that is I did it at the Cellar. And a comic was like, you know why these girls date these ugly men? Because they want that money. And so listen to me, Esther, when I tell you, then I took that part and added it to the end of my joke. And so I have another section where I go, my friend's an old school comedian. What's the word for that? He's a misogynist. And he said that these women date these ugly men just so they can get their money. I was like, yeah, I know ugly men have money. I've been on a boat before. And so I like wanted to take what he said and like call him a misogynist, but also like add to my joke. And I told him I was going to put him in there. And he was like, hell yeah. And I was like, you're so funny that me calling you a misogynist, you're like, I'm in the joke. Hell yeah, dog, we here.
My favorite part of that joke is actually when you call out, which I've never heard anyone point this out, and it's so well observed, is that women are willing to look past looks and see other things that are attractive in a man, but men will never do that for women.
Oh, no. Men and society in general, but men will be like, well, first of all, she's very hot, so that's why she's allowed to be such a terrible person. That's why she was allowed to poison me. You understand? She tried to poison you. Yeah, she put antifreeze in my drink. But C cups? Come on, man. What am I supposed to do? Not?
I guess that is a benefit.
Well, I think that I just have a completely different, like, I don't know where my taste in men comes from, or maybe that I grew up in Asia and watched a lot of like sumo wrestling and like salivated over these men.
But that's like not. I'm gonna tell you something that you're gonna be like, what? So many gay guys love an actual big man. We've kind of conflated big with muscular sometimes in America, but like an actual big man, like a large man, is so hot. There are entire gay magazines. Like there's a gay, I want to say publication called Beef that's just like huge dudes, like bellies, pecs, arms, huge dudes. And like that to me, whenever people talk about like weird, for someone to be like, I don't understand my attraction, that person would have to be like part lizard for me to be like, that is funky. But I can usually be like, oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, but I my ex is 5'4" and portly. Is that pleasantly plump?
Just like a thick dude.
Yeah, he's just got like, I like his thick Korean thighs, but I remember just hearing his voice for the first time and just being like, oh, like he's extremely attractive to me. Like, and everyone telling me like, Khalyla, like, you know what I mean? Like, because there was in their eyes like disparity.
Yeah.
But in my eyes, I just always thought he was hot.
But I think that is so cool because you just said his voice was so fucking hot. Like, that's a thing that we allow, and I wish we would allow more people to do, but like for you to be like, that's a thing that was hot. Because sometimes when hotness is only visual, you'd be like, well, let's like keep looking.
Ooh, nothing turns my pussy into dust more than like a hot dude with the wrong voice. Like, I'm such a voice person. Like, I don't care if you're Chris Hemsworth. If you're not coming correct with your vocal cords, I am out.
Okay.
I am out.
Voice is important. I think like hands are very
Hands are
important.
so important.
See, this is like fun. Do you guys understand? Like, this is why I like talking about sexuality and kinks and attractions with different people, because this conversation for other groups of people is so superficial and so predictable. They're like, oh, I like boobs, butts, lips, and money. And where it's like, you were just like, I need a voice. And you're like, I need like hands. Hands are like super important to me. I have people in my life that are like a wrist, like a thick wrist, like a good forearm. Like, they just love, and these are people who aren't into fisting. I do know people who are.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I think that I look at different things for sure. I look like at things that maybe as like, I guess, a whole package. And I was just talking to Esther about this. Like, I always thought that, oh, maybe I don't have any preferences. You know, I don't have a type. Maybe I just like whatever, you know, seems attractive is attractive to me. I don't know what that criteria is. But then I was like, I don't find white guys like attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is such a superpower in our culture.
And I'm trying to figure out.
It's those good formative years in the Philippines. You were inoculated against it. You got the vaccine.
I do have the keloid.
Yeah.
Prove it.
Here in America, you fed a diet of white guys like from jump. What's crazy though is you're fed fake white guys. You want to know something crazy? You know, okay, so like sometimes you'll be like, oh, these are like the white poster children of like Americana. And one person that people would put up there is Zach Morris. Zach Morris,
half Indonesian.
is half Indonesian.
You're correct.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's half Asian.
And the minute he dyes his hair dark, you see it. You go,
you
oh.
absolutely see it.
But because he was fed to us as a white guy,
right.
Like, oh, it's just a white boy.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, because he was blonde on the show, but dark on him. He's
so dark on the show. You talk about trash. Zach Morris had the trashiest dye job.
And he's not like, you know, Eastern Asian. He's like one of us. He's jungle Asian. He is Indonesian. He is my neighbor.
Yeah, he's Southeast Asian.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's hot.
Right? But that's hot. But like, if you give Zach Morris that arc on Saved by the Bell earlier, maybe it does help people go, oh, I do like non-white guys, or I like white guys, but I also like Indonesian guys. I think that so many, it sucks when you're like, representation matters in Hollywood, but that probably would have helped a lot of little non-white boys be like, oh, I'm pretty cool. I can be like a class favorite. But but we also had like AC Slater being like a really, really hot Chicano. Like, it's like, I think that white guys just get like put to the front more because from a marketing standpoint, you want other white guys to be like, okay, I'll buy that. Mm-hmm. But like, more power to you if you can be like, white guys, I ain't down for it.
Well, it sort of speaks to what you were saying before we started rolling, which is like that.
Oh, I said a bunch of crazy shit. I outed a bunch of people in Hollywood. Can't get the tapes back. You'll never know.
But like, you know, if an actor comes out and he's gay and then he can't, maybe his career suffers from it. And it's not just because women want to, think and fantasize about being with that guy, but it's also because men want to be able to look up to superheroes, and they're probably have internalized homophobia and they don't want to if it's a gay person.
Yeah, it's the reason people don't talk about Richard Pryor being queer. It's the reason people don't talk about Marlon Brando being queer. It's the reason people don't talk about James Dean being queer. It's the reason people don't want to talk about it.
Those are facts?
Yeah.
The Marlon Brando thing makes sense for me somehow, and it just makes him hotter.
Young Marlon Brando, slut. By slut. James Dean, by slut. Richard Pryor, slut.
Ah.
Yep.
Whoa.
I honestly, old Marlon Brando I would go for.
Old Marlon Brando and The Godfather? Yeah.
No, like dementia Marlon Brando. Like, I go for that.
Is there any chance that misogyny is rooted from men being jealous of women that other men want to fuck us?
Oh, well.
Them? Is that possible?
It's all connected because, like, fear of homophobia is fear of misogyny, because fear of homophobia is rooted in, like, oh, I'm a man. I can never be treated like a woman. And by treated like a woman, I don't mean taken on dates. I mean penetrated. So people are scared that men won't be doing the thing they think men are supposed to do, which is being the penetrative partner instead of being the person being penetrated in sex. So much of misogyny boils down to, like, well, women are less than me because I get to fuck women. And it's like, no, that's why people get so mad about lesbians. That's why people get so mad about anyone who doesn't follow whatever the kind of codified sexual hierarchy is. And it's like, you can't do that. You're upending the rules we established. That's why so many cis men get mad about trans women, because this is what they say. They go, you're a man. Why would you ever want to go down a peg? You want to move up the ranks. And it's like, no, they want to live authentically. They want to be themselves. And they're like, but why? You already have everything. You're a man. And you go, but that's not what they want. And they go, who could not want this? And you go, she doesn't. Her. She don't want it. It blows people's minds when you do something that they don't want to do. And they go, well, why would you do that? Because I'm my own person. I have autonomy.
I have that too. When someone's like, I want white pizza. I'm like, it needs sauce. What's wrong with you?
I like white pizza. Not white boys.
No, white boys.
Pizza.
White pizza. So pizza blanca. So you, red sauce is what makes a pizza for you.
Thank you.
What makes a pizza for you?
Pie, anything.
Okay.
All the toppings, whatever variation or whatever weird creative whims speak to you is what pizza is. I don't have rules about food. If it looks good, I hate when people are like, this is how you eat this the authentic way. Shut the fuck up.
Pussy. She got everything she eats except for pussy.
What makes pizza for you?
What makes pizza dough? I like a red sauce, but for some pizzas you don't need it, and because the chef will be like, no, if you do that, you'll ruin this pizza. So I usually try to respect the chef or the pizza maker,
the authority
on the
people
who've
been doing
making
it their whole life.
You're like submissive.
I'm a sub. Yep, I'll put it in my mouth, put it on the plate, whatever it is, I don't care. 8 inches, 12 inches, put it in there. We're talking about pizza, you guys.
Oh my God, I am so not a size queen. That is the one thing that I will. One time
let's talk about it.
So high, he was a decathlete and such a great guy. I could have ended up dating him if his dick wasn't. I didn't even care so much about how big it was. It's just that it hooked downwards.
Oh.
And I did not know what I told him, like, before I left, I was like, respectfully, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
I am just fully intimidated. Like, congratulations, like, goodbye.
Yeah. That's definitely like a learning curve.
Whether you're new to cannabis or an old pro, there's no denying that many of the products on the market seem iffy at best. And when you want to relax, iffy is the last way that you want to feel. Mood puts an end to guessing games. It's 100% federally legal Delta 8 and Delta 9 THC that you can have shipped straight to you. No doctors, no waiting, just affordable, legal THC. For a limited time, Mood is giving our listeners free Delta 9 gummies and 20% off your first order. Visit HelloMood.com and use our code TRASHTuesday. Now, what we love about Mood here is that it's very curated in their selection. So you can get an option for when you want to feel energized, okay? Creative, if you're wanting to be inspired, like you pick the creative blend. Focused, there's euphoric, erotic, sleepy, chill, social, body soother. For me, I definitely like the chill one at night, like especially after a set and I'm like all amped up and I need to calm down. I need like I take a chill gummy. I'll do creative if I'm just feeling like, oh, I want to see where my mind can really go. It's definitely helped me a lot in like those areas of my life.
And however you like to take THC, Mood has you covered. Great for both beginner and veteran users. Great tasting gummies, classic flower, convenient pre-rolls, and so much more.
Ready for a good time without the guesswork? Order your THC products from Mood today. And for 20% off your first order and free gummies, go to HelloMood.com and use the promo code Trash Tuesday. That's HelloMood.com, promo code Trash Tuesday for 20% off your order and free gummies.
As a person with a penis, and I'll say this like also as a black guy with a penis, like whenever like post middle school into high school, you start learning about other people's dicks, whether it be like porn that you watch or like your friends' dicks. So like the kind of size demon is always in your ear, the size shame demon. It's like, you're not big enough. There are bigger dicks. There are bigger dicks. There are bigger dicks. Your dick's not big enough. Especially because keep in mind, you're 13. Of course there are bigger dicks. So then you really have to have like enough faith, patience, and like self-awareness to be like, okay, but my dick is my dick and I'm happy about it. And I'm saying this as a person with a dick that like I love and lots of other people love and I get compliments on all the time. But like it's like not all the time. I get very aware of like girls saying they're not size queens, and then every guy's response is like, yeah, but she's just saying that. And it's like, what? Like, you just invalidated the person that you. Do you want to have a big dick for your boys, or do you want to have a big dick for the girl you're fucking?
Guys really do invalidate that. You're so right. We were like recently on a big male comedian's podcast. I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
And they totally rolled their eyes at us and like didn't want to have any of it. And men don't want to believe that.
We were like, I felt like maybe I was being like a pick me girl or being like too polite. I'm like, no, this is the fact. Like my canal does not enjoy a certain level.
We are on Canal Street. I'll even say this, like, if you have a penis, I don't care. This is the podcast. We'll do it. You can like, when you're bumping someone's cervix or you like feel their IUD.
Oh, okay.
Too, like you like, it's just like one of those things where like sexually, what's pleasurable for some people isn't pleasurable for other people. And like I'm saying this also as a guy who like hooks up with guys and who's married to like an amazing guy. Like people truly don't understand that there can be like a full on like, okay, I need a break from this dick. And people won't, you know, you're saying your canal, like your vaginal canal doesn't enjoy like crazy shit. And that's true for people's butts too. Like, you know, so many people, if everyone's dick is destroying everyone, then everyone will be like, I can't have sex for 2 days. Sorry.
Right. And that's so true. And which is why on that same podcast, we talked about husband dick, where this is a dick I can enjoy regularly, daily, and with no damage to the rugae in my, you know what I mean, in my vagina.
But guys get so scared because penis size is like the one thing that like they think is like the biggest gotcha. Like it's always like an insult that you can use to like cut down another man. It's always like an insult that like you hear growing up. It's like one of those things that we're fully indoctrinated in.
Yeah.
But then like whenever we start talking about penis size, and we also have to realize that like, oh, well, we really, really can't start to like, until we see everyone's dick, we can't always be like, oh, that person has a little dick. That means you have to see so many dicks as a straight man to even know.
if I'm attracted to a person, it doesn't really matter. Like, nothing else really matters. It's like, if I like you, I like everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even feet?
Well, not like, you know, whatever, like,
I was joking.
As long as he doesn't have like talons.
Yeah. I've also like, and this happens whenever you like expand these conversations and you have people who have different life experiences than you. Like, there's also the idea kind of like, if penis size is the only gauge of masculinity, then there are a lot of trans men who end up getting insulted by everyone being like, well, if you're a man, your dick has to be this big. Because like their experience in their bodies is completely different than cis men. So there's also, I think we're learning how to talk about these things. And yes, for comedic purposes, we have a bunch of jokes about a bunch of stupid shit that are just shorthanded versions of like things that we all have like been told. But I think that more people are learning how to articulate what y'all are saying. It's like, well, I like this guy and this dick is part of this guy, so I like this guy. Because I think
Good way to put it.
it would be worse to say, oh, I like this dick and it happens to be with this dude who I don't like at all. Because that to me is like, that's an objectification that if you did that to women, people would be like, you're kind of a monster.
Right.
It's interesting how horrible that sounds if it's a guy saying it.
Yeah.
And from a girl, it's like,
When it's like,
that.
I like these two holes and those boobs and the rest of her can.
I think for me, the way I look at it is just like I'm decentering genitalia.
Ooh, yes.
Like, I'm not genitalia forward. I'm around the I have to like whatever is around the genitalia, and whatever exists in between those legs. Good. If I like you, I think we're good.
that sounds exceptionally sane to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
But also, I will say, there's always going to be a part of, and you have to fight it and you have to like push against it. There's always a part of guys' brains in America. I can't speak to experiences other places, but in Western culture, that's like, ooh, she's lying.
Yeah.
She's lying.
She's my whole life, it's got to be that I am lying. Like, God forbid that I have my own preferences and that I've sort of just like stuck by it. It always appears that way.
Well, that is like the label that you've had for so long because of your past relationship. It's like, because she was dating a man who's a small Asian guy and she's beautiful, everyone's like, she's a gold digger.
Yeah.
Just because you're beautiful and they think that the guy you're with is ugly.
But I think it speaks more to what they think of him than what they think of me, which is really insulting for him,
Yeah.
especially if they're fans of his, right? It's like all of his fans are always like, just
Oh, okay. Okay. I put everything together. Got
Her
it.
ex is body.
Yeah. And so like our entire relationship, we were together for 10 years, has been like, Bobby, she's this and she's that, and she's only got to be with you for this. And it's like, you guys, you're calling him ugly.
It's so
You're also taking away his agency. You're taking away the fact that he might be able to make his own decisions at 51 years old.
The fact that they like were raised with him on Mad TV and he's very funny and charming enough that he definitely could like land some dates. That's the wild part. Whenever someone's surprised that a male comic has a hot girlfriend, I'm like, didn't he just charm all of y'all strangers? Do you think he can't do it for one person? It's always so weird. That's the one thing. Because sometimes if it's just like this super boring, quiet, non-interesting person, you'll be like, what is the appeal? But with a male comic, dating a hot person, I'm always like, well, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's easy to see why.
And especially... it's funny that you're like, and because they're fans of his, they're like, I like him, but why does she?
Yes, exactly.
You just said you like him, yeah, but he's mine. You don't need to like him. Why do you like him? Why do you like him?
I mean, you pay to see him.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay. I had hard eyes, and I said okay, and I opened my legs. It was as simple as that.
Jealous.
Yeah.
They just want to fuck him. And they mad that you're doing it. It's fun, but you did it. Your other bit that I love so much is you talk about your wedding.
Oh yeah.
And you say that like you was just introducing gay people to other gay people, but they've already had sex with each other.
Yeah. I say when you get married in New York City, you spend most of your wedding day introducing gay men who live in New York City to other gay men they have already slept with, which was partially my experience at my wedding because I went to 2 weddings kind of like before my wedding, and both weddings, particularly one wedding, had so many people that had like some sort of history. Myself, my husband included in like that whole thing where I was like, this is silly. This is so silly that so many of these people at this reception I've either seen naked in person or on my phone. This is hilarious.
Oh my God.
And I just kind of wanted to also talk about like the silliness of that, but also the fun part of that. There's also an element to that story where because gay social circles, a lot of people fuck first and become friends later. You have that aspect of it too, where it's like, oh, we hooked up, but he's like a really cool dude. We're probably not gonna hook up again, but we should definitely watch Drag Race together this
I
week.
like the pragmatism of that. There's something just really nice. Like, even I think like when I see my married gay friends, like how they handle their relationships, their views on monogamy, their kind of like flexibility on certain ideas that other people are very rigid about. Like, I kind of like, there's like a relief. I almost wish that like I do have like gay man envy in that way.
There's some part of gay culture around 2015 that was like, we have to get married. And then a lot of people got married and they were like, I still want to party though. They're like, or just like, I didn't want to get married like that. I want to get married the way I wanted to get married and then still be able to, can we? And so you saw a lot of people kind of have that conversation. Dan Savage talked a lot about like his view on monogamish people, like what monogamy means for different people. And the easiest part of gay relationships having much more flexibility with that is the fact there's never the fear, and this is an old fear. There's never the fear that a child isn't yours. So like a lot of straight guys,
Oh
their
my
biggest fear is that child isn't mine. That child isn't mine. So when I die, someone who isn't of my bloodline is gonna get my stuff. It becomes very Game of Thrones. It actually becomes like very old, kind of like it's like early modern period. It's close to like Shakespearean times, but it's rooted in this idea of like the great chain of being. So if you have God, angel, you have God like Jesus, angels, and then like closer to the top, you have like royalty. So if you're a royal, your blood is different. Your entire existence is different. And if you're not royal, then you can't get up there. So there should never be interaction between these two. So we need like an actual clear line of succession, and we need to make sure that only people with good royal blood are fucking other people like that. That's why they have to fuck their first cousins and second cousins and shit. So then here's what happens. If infidelity occurs, then that means a stable boy fucked a princess. That means that princess is going to give birth to a hybrid, a fucking bastard. That's why bastard was such an insult, because you were bastardizing the line. You were basically ruining the great chain of being because your dirty poor person blood was mixing with royal blood, and now we don't know who to give this stuff to. It's true.
Yeah.
And so it works its way all the way down to now in American society. If a guy works 30 years for a company, he has 2 kids, he has his firstborn son, and he's blonde, and his wife is blonde, but this motherfucker is brunette. When he dies, the milkman's son is gonna get his shit. And it just ruins people. That's why they're so scared of being cuckolded. They're so scared of basically being tricked by this evil woman who couldn't control her urges, and she let this other man come inside of her, and now he is gonna get your stuff. It's all stuff based. And with
You're gonna get your Happy Meal to
but with gay men, you're like, those kids are going in the toilet. They're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, it's different.
Oh, that's such a good way to put it.
I know. I always sort of thought that in which it might, but like that gay men had to fight for just the right to like have their love and like exist. That it's like, well, they fought this hard for it. They want to,
That's such a beautiful way to think about it. I think that's definitely part of it. But whenever you don't have to deal with like inheritance and like full on, you don't have to deal with like infidelity leading to like kids that aren't yours, you are so calm about it. You like don't stress at all because the thing that happened is sex, not a child.
Right.
People get super worked up
And
about
vice versa, right?
anything.
For women, thinking that another woman will be impregnated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
Because and it's resource guarding because if that other woman
it is resource.
if that other woman gets impregnated, then that means, oh shit, he's gonna have to devote time,
split
money,
resources.
and focus on her because he's gonna have to take care of that kid. I'm gonna have less stuff because she is gonna require more stuff right now. It's so sad, but you can see people's wheels turning when it's like, no. If you get her pregnant, oh my fucking God, you have taken everything from me. You were supposed to give me that baby vis-a-vis. You were supposed to give me that stuff. You're taking stuff away from me.
It is stuff.
It's ownership of things. It's cars. It's houses. It's money. It's time. It's heirloom.
Yeah, it's your cum is mine.
Yeah. Which is also hot. If you ever say it to someone, yeah,
we
you
both
should-
locked eyes
you,
there.
yeah.
When I said, I'm so
you
sorry.
said that, and I was like, well, I need to go, you guys. Actually, I gotta get out of here real quick. It's that kind of day in New York. It's hot enough if someone was like, your cum is mine. I'm like, you're right. It is. It is. It's yours. It's only yours. For now, how much you need?
It's just $1.
Okay, sweet.
Oh, that's so good. I didn't know I'd be getting such a full-on education today. I feel so enlightened. This is great.
I love being able to tie this stuff back to sex because we think, oh, this doesn't relate to sex. It doesn't relate to sex at all. It's totally related to sex. It's so interconnected because sex is at the core of so many of the fights that people have. Sex is at the core of weird racism that people have. Sex is at the core. It's the fear. It's the feminization of Asian men and the hypermasculinization of black men. That's sexual at its core. A lot of people are like, my daughter's never gonna date a black guy. Not because they don't want to create a beautiful Drake, but because they don't want that mythological huge black dick ruining and or raping their white daughter.
What is your opinion on, I posted this and I said this on this podcast a few weeks ago and people were upset with me.
Ooh, I love it.
But I have I guess you could call it a kink or a fetish, or look, I saw Schindler's List at a pivotal.
Oh, this is the Nazi thing?
Yeah.
The guard thing?
That is a fantasy for me of a Nazi to save me and have sex with me.
I think, what would a therapist say? Kinks and thoughts aren't reality. You aren't seeking that out. It is a kink that you express and people are allowed to have opinions on it. But it's just because of the taboo nature of sexuality plus the taboo nature of this subject. It's a power dynamic. I mean, if we if we take away the ethnic cleansing element of it, we let that shit happen. We let it happen as a major subplot point and plot line on Orange is the New Black. Because if you're a CO fucking inmates, you raped someone because they don't have power in jail. It's true.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Now, also, before we finish up, I want to ask you, what is your do you have any advice or thoughts on me or anyone else who does deal with this internalized homophobia of not wanting to be attracted to a bisexual man?
Ooh. I think articulating it and saying, oh, why am I having this feeling about this? What about this makes me less attracted to him is the first step. And then the second step is kind of and this is going to sound silly, watch more gay porn. Watch more gay porn and be like, oh, okay, I kind of like this. Oh, watch more MMF porn. So there's a girl there. Maybe the fun part for you is fighting over the boy in the MMF threesome for you. It's no, you're not going to have him. He's mine. And the playful nature of that. I've had an MMF with a married couple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't a relationship. It was just, it was a relationship in the nature. It was a sexual relationship. But
Did you guys live together?
No, we just hooked up.
Oh.
I'm talking about MMF porn category. Just we would hook up.
Yeah.
It was so he was like, I'll say this in a way that I want people to know. He like is pretty straight, but she was like, "Oh, would you two be okay kissing?" And he was like okay with kissing and stuff. And I think it was him like also figuring out what he wanted in that situation. So I think the more that we kind of like test the waters with this, and the more that we allow people to be like, "Oh, okay, let me watch this," and not just watch it as porn, just watch it to be like, "Well, okay, what do I not like about this? What do I like about this? Maybe I'm actually more attracted to like a FFM situation. Maybe I want to see him with another girl so I know that's what he could be doing to me, instead of my fear of that stuff that he's doing with that guy won't even be, you can't even apply those course credits to this. That's not gonna work with me. You need to be taking a class that you can actually use. You know what I mean? It's like telling people to get a degree in something that's useful. It's like that. So I think you're not evil. You're not like, I think internalized homophobia, I do a lot of externally gay shit, but I still have internalized homophobia because I grew up in America. I grew up in Mississippi. That shit can get like chipped away at, but the core of it will always be there, and I'm able to go, oh, okay, I can rationalize, but some stuff still is like, oh no. Like it's almost like the desire sometimes that you have when you're around cool straight dudes to like butch it up, and you're like, but girl, you're gonna get on stage and talk about your wedding, so why are you being bro-y around the dudes? Just because it makes you feel a little bit better? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder if it helped me to see family members growing up. Like I would see my uncles and my male cousins who were married with children, but on the weekend when the whole family would go out to like the province, say for instance, I would see my uncles and my older male cousins hook up with dudes.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like an agreement between them that like no one would talk about it, but I just saw it a lot and kind of no one made a fuss about it. And then they just carried on in their marriages like nothing. And I feel like as though their wives knew. So like maybe that shaped my idea or why it's not so like shocking to me. Like it's very normal for me to see a man go either direction, and it's not a turnoff for me.
That totally makes sense.
That's like such a cool story that's like casual for you, but in my head I was like, what?
Well, to be fair, the men in my family were horrible husbands, horrible dads, which is why they always cheated.
Mm-hmm.
But then the cheating was so open, and even the young kids, their kids saw it. You know what I mean? So, but I would see them cheat on their wives with men, and I was just like, oh, I guess this is just what we do as a family.
Okay.
You know? So, as fucked up as it was, dude, Catholics are weird, man. Catholics are weird. Like my same cousin married. He has six sons, surprisingly, but he was like the biggest meth dealer on my island. But he would never miss mass on Sunday, and he would take the kalawat, the bread, and everyone would just be like, all is good in the world. So it was really confusing for me to be like, what is happening here?
Does Catholicism like turn sex or gay sex, all sex, like into this naughty, evil thing?
Oh,
so then it makes
yes.
you want it more,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
It's like when you're kids who grow up in households where you can't have candy, and then you grow up and all you want is
you go
candy.
to one person's house and like, you want some candy? And they're like, you have candy? Do you understand how much fucking candy I'm about to do? You don't do candy. No, I'm doing this fucking candy.
Please make that a bit. Oh my God. You don't do candy, bro.
Bring me a credit card. I'm about to do this fucking candy.
Well,
Oh my
Jay, thank you so
God.
much for doing
Thank you for
that.
having me. This was so much fun.
This
You
was
are
so fun.
like the coolest.
You're the coolest.
Superstar. Are you on tour right now? Where can people find
All
you?
right, so you can find me on social media at Jay Jurden, JayJurden. It's spelled the same across all platforms. I am on like a tiny kind of sort of tour. I'm a writer for The Problem with Jon Stewart, and so we have a little bit of a break right now. So I was just in Royal Oak, but I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm going to be in Boston. I'm going to be in Arlington. I'm going to be in Bloomington. I'll put all that stuff on all my social media.
Bloomington is most
Come
fun.
at it. Yeah.
Where are you playing in Chicago?
I'm going to be at Zany's.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it'll be fun.
Eat a Portillo sandwich for me.
Okay, good. Yeah.
It's at Lou Malnati's.
Yeah.
Go see Jay. And wait, what's your website?
JayJurden.com. So everything is just my name. If you type my name in Google, I should be the one that comes up.
And honestly, you guys have to see his stand-up. It's so smart and funny and like real. Like your stand-up is exactly the style that I really respond to, because it's not just jokes for jokes. It's like you are expressing who you are and how you feel, and it's funny.
It means a lot. I love your stuff too. So when you saying that, it means a lot. It really does.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. And please come back anytime.
Thank you. It's just something.
Thanks, Jay.